What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Ansel Armstrong back again, and today we are talking about what might be one of my absolute favorite programs every year in MLB The Show. That is Finest cards. They're going to be coming soon. The regular season just ended, our 60-game regular season. They're going to be coming real soon. Personally, I think they're going to be coming with the Team Affinity 4 stage here in the next couple of weeks. Into the middle of October, maybe late October, hopefully more on the earlier side of October. I'm ready for it. I'm hyped for it. I think it's going to be coming soon. Today, let's take a look at who we're predicting, what kind of cards we could be seeing for Finest in this year. So last year, every single team for the first time got a Finest card in MLB 19. So I think they're going to do it the same this year again. I personally think it's going to be part of that Team Affinity 4 stage. And then on top of that, there were a couple additional Finest cards that they added into the game as collection rewards. We could be seeing something similar this year. So if there's some huge names I've left out that have just crushed it this year, those could be part of a larger Finest collection. Another thing to consider is that pretty much anyone who already has 99s or high overall tops now, I've pretty much excluded them from getting another card. So a guy like Rendon, who's balled out, just got a new card, probably not going to get a Finest. The big ones, obviously Tatis, he just got the 99 Player of the Month card. Not really going to get a Finest. It'd pretty much just be the exact same card. So keep that in mind as we're going through these predictions. If there's some that seem a little crazy and they had some player who was crushing the ball or pitching gems day after day, probably because they already have that high overall card in the game. And Finest is kind of a way to get some new cards in the mix and more usable cards. So let's dive in. We're starting with the Orioles here. It's none other than Jose Iglesias. Orioles, kind of a little sneaky season this year. They had some guys perform pretty well. Jose Iglesias, you can see he's worked his way up to the gold tier this year. I think he could be the Finest for the Orioles. We're looking at their live series cards here, so you can kind of get an idea of what kind of card it would be. Obviously, Iglesias, if you boost up his contact and power, unfortunately for him, he's going to be a contact hitter without a lot of speed, although he would have decent fielding. No arm, though. So Jose Iglesias, who we're going with for the Orioles, definitely not one of the best ones we're going to be looking at today. Next one we're looking at, onto the Red Sox, a guy that we all thought, or a lot of us thought, was going to go diamond at some point this year. Kind of fell off a little bit, didn't quite get to that diamond tier. Still crushed it this year. Verdugo is another guy who easily could have been the Finest for the Red Sox as well, but we're going with Bogaerts. You can see he's got a pretty gnarly split already. His 109 contact left and 99 power left already plays pretty well. If you boost that up a little bit, he's a guy who could be a really awesome bench bat and platoon player at shortstop from the right side of the plate. Xander Bogaerts, he is going to be lacking a little bit on the fielding, but 54 fielding, maybe they can bump him up, give him a little bit of silver fielding at least, make him playable over that short, and you'd have a really solid Finest card. Now, one thing to note as well is I am predicting that all these are going to be 99s, especially if they're in Team Affinity 4. No way we have less than 99 overall cards in Team Affinity 4 because the last stage just had 97 to 99. So these all got to be 99s. Like, would assume so. So that's kind of the basis I'm going off of when looking at what these cards could look like as a higher overall. On to the next one here. Now, he is already a 91 in game, and he already has a 92 Player of the Month card, but we're still going with DJ LeMahieu. He crushed it this year, had a great season, and his Finest card would potentially be one of the best. Obviously, he already has the contact versus right and left. Those are really strong. If you give him some boost to his power, if you get him 80 plus power on both sides of the plate, he's got the fielding, maybe a little bit more speed. DJ Mayhew, personally, for me, has one of the better swings in the game. His live series cards always rakes for me. I think DJ Mayhew could end up being one of the better Finest cards we get if he has that 100 plus power both sides, or 100 plus contact both sides, 85 plus power both sides. You got to understand these Finest cards, they're going to be juiced. It's that point of the year where they're just giving us some cool, fun cards. Realism goes to the wayside just a little bit as we reach into October. So give me a juiced up, power hitting DJ Mayhew. Let's rock with it. I may throw him as my second baseman. On to the Rays now. He did cool off a little bit towards the back end of the season, but still had a great start, great season overall. He played great for the Rays this year. I'm going to be looking at watching him in the playoffs that start today. Let me know down in the comment section below who do you think is winning the World Series. But I think this Brandon Lau card could be, I don't know, maybe he's even better than DJ the Mayhew second baseman because he's already got that power. Maybe 99 Brandon Lau could have that 90 plus 100 power thresholds, get him to that 70, 80 contact. He'd be a great all-star hitter. If you trust your PCI, he'd be great on Hall of Fame as well. He's already got good fielding on this card as it is with a little bit of speed. Bump those up a little bit. Brandon Lau could be a really great card. That's another thing we were looking at when we were picking these guys that I like and I think would be awesome cards. We'll see a couple more of those as we go on. On to the Blue Jays. Teoscar just got his Tops Now card. Bichette already has the 99, so we're going to go with Kevin Biggio, actually second on the team in F4 this year. I don't really know how he's still a bronze in the game. I think he just gets really overshadowed out there in Toronto with all the young stars they have. But I'm going with Kevin Biggio for this year's finest. He could be a pretty solid card. He needs some major upgrades, obviously, but he's just a 74. If they upgrade him to a 99, you can make some major upgrades on that front. Kevin Biggio could turn into a solid card. A lot of middle infielders so far here in the AL East. We're going to be diversifying up a little bit. Let's head on over to the AL Central now. So the first card we're looking at here, a couple options with the White Sox, but we're going with Tim Anderson because just look at his live series card. Look at his live series card. He's playing up to an 83 today. That gives him 125 contact left and 104 power left. Imagine if you juice that up even more, juice up his contact right and power right even more. This card will be insane. At minimum, he is a great platoon versus lefties, similar to Xander Bogaerts. At his best, he's just might be the best starter in the game. If he's hittable versus righties, he's obviously going to crush lefties. Give him the ability to hit righties as well. Tatis may be put on the bench for Tim Anderson if he would get a 99 overall finest. Obviously, the defense is a big issue. 54 fielding, 54 arm, not going to play at shortstop. That needs an upgrade as well. But assuming that comes with it to make him a little bit playable, I'm all aboard the Tim Anderson train. A lot of people said last year for him was a bit fluky, but he went back out and crushed it again this year. I think he's the real deal. Maybe you're looking at getting a finest this year. On to the Indians. Obviously, we already have the 97 overall Bieber. We already have the 99 overall Jose Ramirez. So can't really give a finest for either of those. So we're going with Francisco Lindor, one of my absolute favorite players in the league, one of everyone's favorite cards to use in the game. We know we're going to get a good Francisco Lindor at some point. STS always gives us one. He's a fan favorite. People love the switch hitters. He got a finest last year. I think he's double dipping back again. He'll end getting a finest again this year. His finest last year was great. I've loved his live series this year. I'm hopeful that we can get a Frankie Lindor finest card again this year. I love switch hitters. I like even running an all switch hitter team. So the more switch hitters I can get, the better off we are. I'm definitely hopeful for Lindor. It could be a guy like Zach Plesac technically, but I think the off the field issues there that happened earlier in the season, they're just going to stay away from that. Lindor's a nice, safe bet. Didn't play bad this year. Won his best year by any stretch, but didn't play bad. Definitely could be warranting of a finest card. On to the Tigers, another team where nobody really stood out. There weren't any insane individual performances. So we're going to go with Jeimer Candelario. You know, if there's a switch hitter, I got to predict it. Third baseman here, if he gets a little bit of pop, give him a little bit of that power, give him a little bit of that contact. Candelario could be a really solid looking card here as a finest. He's got decent fielding. Give him a little bit more arm strength there at third base. And Candelario had a solid season for the Tigers. Definitely the best player on the Tigers this year. Although that's not saying too much. He still went out there and did it. And they're going to be getting a finest from someone. I'm going with Candelario. For the Royals, we're going with Whit Merrifield. He had a great year this year. Got up to diamond at one point for a little bit. Cooled off after that quite a bit. But still a really good season overall. Now, Whit was already in the Team Affinity path as the first face of the franchise. So I don't know if they went on a double dip on that. But Salvador Perez, probably their second best player. he's already got a card as well. So I'm going with Whit Merrifield. They could also maybe throw in a reliever with Brad Keller. I'd be all aboard getting some relievers out of the Finest program so we can get some more options in the bullpen. Brad Keller, probably your other option here for the Royals if they don't go with Whit Merrifield, since he was already in that Team Affinity path with his face of the franchise card. Now on to the Twins, another situation where a lot of their good players already have cards. Maeda has a 97. Buxton just got his tops now. Nelson Cruz has the awards card with the Mariners. So because of that, we're going right down the line. We're going Max Kepler. Max Kepler, not a bad little season this year. He's a lefty with a great swing. Give us another outfielder in the Finest program. He's got a pretty firm righty split. So you juice that up a little bit. Could be a great bench bat versus righty. He's got the 85 fielding. Could definitely have enough fielding to play. Who has a really good swing. I could also see it potentially being someone like Eddie Rosario as well. Another kind of part of that Twins. They got two lefty outfielders, both with really nice swings in game. I'd be a big fan of either of them, both with pretty firm splits. Give me Eddie Rosario, give me Kepler. I'll be happy with the Twins. Moving on to the AL West, we're going with kind of the first onto the scene star this year for the Angels. It was David Fletcher. Really came into form this year. Definitely the most deserving of a Finest on that team. You could go Dylan Bundy, but he cooled off a little bit towards the end. Rendon just got his nice card, and obviously Trout already has the 99. So that leaves us with David Fletcher. He had a great season this year. Got all the way up to an 84 from the roster updates. Would it be the best Finest cards? Because it is going to be lacking that power, which is so crucial in MLB The Show 20, but still a fun card to use nonetheless. Now on the A's, we got to get some relievers in this Finest program. So we're going with Liam Hendriks. Probably the best closer in baseball this year. Was absolutely dominant over the 60-game season. Part of the reason the A's were able to walk away with the division so handedly. I'm going with Liam Hendriks getting that Finest this year. Hopefully he could be pretty solid. He doesn't have the greatest pitch repertoire in the world, but he can make up with that with some really strong per nines. Give him 115, 120 per nines. He could be out there rocking and rolling. Now on to the Mariners. I know he just got a 92 Player of the Month card, but Kyle Lewis is probably going to be the American League Rookie of the Year. Let's give him a 99. That's for all my Mariners fans out there. I know I've been hearing from them. They want a better Kyle Lewis card. They want him upgraded. They want better than the 92. He deserves the 99. He's crushed it this year. Came out of nowhere. Let's give him a 99. Mariners don't have a ton of options outside of Kyle Lewis. A couple other guys you go with, maybe like a Marco Gonzalez or something like that. But let's have fun with it. Let's go Kyle Lewis, 99 overall Finest. Now on to the Rangers. Only real option here is Lance Lynn. He was absolutely dominant this year. Was rough in his very final start of the season, but still dominated from pretty much day one throughout the end of the season. The bright spot of the Rangers this year, they almost traded him at the trade deadline. Rest of the team was absolutely garbage outside of Lance Lynn. So he's really your only option here for the Rangers at getting that 99 overall Finest. So we're going with Lance Lynn. Wouldn't be a bad pitcher, but honestly, his pitches aren't that great. 4-seam, 2-seam cutter, curveball. In real life, he throws like 95% fastballs. Doesn't really work out here in MLB The Show 20, missing a little bit of off speed, but you never know what SCS would change up whenever they add someone a Finest card. The final team in the American League here, we are going with Kyle Tucker, another guy who I just really like Kyle Tucker's swing. If I see Kyle Tucker in BR, I pretty much always draft him, especially if he's playing up like this. He's a nice balance hitter. They have good contact, good power, a really sweet swing to go along with that, with some speed, with some fielding. Kyle Tucker could honestly be one of the better Finest cards we get if he's juiced up to a 99 overall. He's got that smooth stroke, got good balance hitting across the board with some defensive speed to go with it. I think it'd be a really good card, and that is my prediction for the Astros Finest. That wraps up the American League. Let's move on over now to the National League and work through our Finest predictions there. So first off here, looking at the Braves. Braves is a real tough one because they have a lot of guys who could be deserving of it. Obviously, you got Acuna, Ozuna, and Freeman, all deserving of it. We are going to predict Freeman. Now, of course, you could end up winning the MVP and getting some sort of awards card for that potentially, but still going to go with Freeman here. He'd have some insane. He'd probably be 125 versus righties. Maybe one of the best bench bats in the game. Another guy with a sweet swing. He's lacking a little bit versus lefties, but could be a great platoon option and an elite bench bat in Freddie Freeman. Could also go with someone like Marcell Ozuna as well if they want to reserve Freeman for some other card type down the line. Looking at the Marlins here, we're not going to count Starling Marte since they have barely had him so much. So we're going with Miguel Rojas. Going to be another high contact, low speed, not a whole lot of power guy. So honestly, probably not one of the better ones that we're looking at this year. But Marlins, real sneaky team, came out of nowhere in the playoffs this year. Who'd have predicted that at the start of the season? And Miguel Rojas, definitely a big part of that. He's up to that 81 overall. He played solid this year. He get juiced up, be a good looking card. For me, probably going to be lacking that power though. On to the Nationals, we're going Juan Soto. Just look at the hitting stats of his 90 overall card, and then imagine what that would look like at 99. I need a 99 overall Juan Soto in my life. That would be my starting left fielder. No doubt about it. 100%. No questions asked. He'd hit absolute tanks. Honestly, might be the best hitter in the game if he's 99 overall. Obviously, the defense is a liability, but that's okay. You can figure that out when that bat is so good. This live series Soto is already insane. I can only imagine what it would look like if they juice him up even more. On to the Mets, we're getting another pitcher in here. We're going deGrom. deGrom is one of those guys. We know he's getting a 99 overall at some point, just a matter of how they're going to do it. I'm going with Finest for this year again. He had that Finest last year. deGrom was a really awesome card. Could also go with somebody like Conforto, maybe even Seth Lugo for the Mets, but I am going to go with Jacob deGrom as the Finest this year. Would be instantly one of the best starting pitchers in the game, and a card that I loved last year. Would love to see back in the game this year. On to the Phillies. We got to get at least one catcher here in this Finest program, so we're going JT Realmuto. Really came out the gates on fire this year. Ended up with a really solid season overall. A free agent right now headed into next year. Be interested to see if the Phillies lock him up. Another guy who did get a 99 overall Finest last year. But again, we got to get a catcher in the program somewhere. JT Realmuto, by far and away, probably the best catcher in the league right now. Had probably the best season from any catcher this year. So we're going with Realmuto. Could also potentially be a Harper card as well. Maybe even Aaron Nola again. But I think Realmuto is a safe pick and the card I'd like to see the most out of all the options. On to the Cubs. Darvish is probably the obvious one. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets it, but he does already have that 94 in the game. Don't know if maybe they'd want to go somewhere else. And because I love switch hitters, we're going with Ian Happ. Now, Ian Happ also already has a 90 in the game as well, but I got to get me another switch hitter in there. Let me have a 99 overall Ian Happ. For a better part of the season, was probably the Cubs' best hitter this year, especially with Chris Bryant and Rizzo struggling a little bit at the plate compared to previous years. Ian Happ really stepped up in a big way. They were able to win the division, large in part due to his performances. So I'm looking at an Ian Happ card. If it's not Happ, definitely going to be Darvish. Would not be surprised at all to see him, but I'm hopeful for another switch hitter I can add to my squad. Probably the easiest prediction to make in this whole video. Trevor Bauer doesn't have a 95 plus diamond in the game yet. He's been the best pitcher in baseball this year. Trevor Bauer is going to be getting a 99 at some point. I think it's going to be a Finest this year. Give him that 99 Finest. He has the pitches. Could be one of the better pitchers in the game. Probably the most no-brainer decision of this entire video is Bauer. I don't see how it could be anybody else. The hitting's been bad. Sonny Gray already has a good card. Luis Castillo's been coming around, but hadn't been near as good as Trevor Bauer this year. Give the man the 99 he deserves. Staying in the NL Central here with the Brewers, another guy who really came out of nowhere this year, surprised a ton of people in this 60-game season. That's Corbin Burns. Far and away, probably the best single season performance from the Brewers this year. I'm going with Corbin Burns. He's got decent pitches. He's got the sinker and the cutter combo along with the changeup, slider, curveball. 99 overall Corbin Burns may be one of the best starting pitchers in the game. And I don't say that lightly. If you are able to control him with that low walks per 9, he could be absolutely filthy. I would love to see what he would look like as a Finest card. Maybe the hardest team to predict is the Pirates because, to be quite frank, nobody really played well, but we're going to go with Colin Moran. He led the team in homers. He was second in F4 on the team, third in F4 maybe on the team. Led the team in homers. So just give us a power hitter. We're going with Colin Moran. Pirates, pretty rough this year. No real stars. They're getting the number 1 pick in the draft next year. They lost a lot of games. Even the Rangers, who lost a ton of games, are getting the 2nd pick. They had Lynn, who still was out there wheeling and dealing, balling out. But we're going with Colin Moran here for the Pirates. Honestly, basically just draw a name out of the hat for the Pirates with how they played this year. But give me a power hitter and Colin Moran. On to the Cardinals now. Another one, a little tough. Goldschmidt just got his card. I'm going to go a little bit of a wild card, a little bit of out of nowhere. Let's get another pitcher. And Kwang Hyun Kim. He came onto the scene. He only had, I believe, 8 starts this year or so, give or take. Didn't get a full season in, but was pretty dominant in those starts that he got. So we're going with Kim here for the Cardinals. I know this one's kind of out of left field. This may be my weirdest pick of the bunch, but nobody else really stood off the page. Colton Wong had a good season. Adam Wainwright had a great season. He already has a great card. Goldschmidt obviously played great. He already has a great card. So we're going with Kim here. Let's have a 99 overall, card that of a player that kind of came onto the scene this year. Now let's move on to the NL West, our final division here for these predictions. Starting off with the D-backs, let's get another pitcher thrown into the mix there. Zach Gallen had a great season this year for the D-backs. D-backs struggled a little bit overall. Zach Gallen looked really solid. Looks like he has a promising career in front of him. Let's go ahead and give him that 99 overall finest. He doesn't have that sinker that's so important there on his pitch repertoire, but still four-seam knuckle curve changeup cutter. Not a bad pitch mix. Give him some good per nines. He could play for sure. Over to the Rockies, another team that's tough. Obviously, Arenado's an 88. Didn't play that great. You got Story, already got a good card. Blackman already got a good card. So we're going down the line here. We're going German Marquez, the best pitcher for the Rockies this year. Was able to pitch pretty solid in Colorado, all things considered. So I'm going with German Marquez for the 99 overall finest of the Rockies for this year. Finally, on to the Dodgers. We know we're getting ourselves a 99 Mookie Betts at some point. Could be an MVP card, or they could give us a 99 finest. Mookie Betts played great this year. Started off cold, really came on over the second half of the season. Mookie Betts definitely the best player on the Dodgers this year. Could also be someone like Corey Seager, but I'm hopeful for Betts. You can see that 101 contact right, 105 power right, probably goes up to a 125 both sides as a 99. It would be an insane platoon bench bat. He's got a solid swing. Obviously, absolutely cheeks versus lefty. He's going to have to figure that out. Don't know what's going on there, but you boost him a little bit there, but at worst would be a really insane platoon bench bat. Padres got a ton of options you could honestly go with. Obviously, Tatis has his 99. Machado has his 97. So we're going to be going with Lamet. Lamet was a great pitcher this year. Best pitcher on the staff for the whole season. A lot of people thought Paddock would be that guy coming into the season. Lamet really shined this year. Showed himself as the ace of this staff, along with Clevenger and along with Paddock. Still, they have an insane staff moving forward over the next couple of years. But Lamet, absolutely dominant this year from game 1 to game 60. Give him a finest card. Let's juice it up and let's see what we can rock with. On to the final prediction, the final team of this video. It's the Giants, and we're going with none other than Mike Yastrzemski. He does already have the 95 tops now, but honestly, I was struggling to really come up with anybody else for the Giants. Yastrzemski just stands out so much that screw it. Let's give him a 99 as well. He played great this year, really helped the Giants stay in contention for as long as they did. Had a great season. So we're going with Yastrzemski as the Giants' finest card for this season. So that does do it for our predictions. All 30 teams' finest cards that I think are going to be part of TA4 predicted in the book. Come back and look at this when finest comes out. Let's see how many I'm right on. Hopefully we can at least get, I don't know, let's shoot for 10. Let's shoot for 10 out of 30 on this. I think that's a pretty fair bet. And of course, let me know down in the comment section below. I'm sure you're watching this at time and you thought, Ants, you're an absolute idiot. How can you say it's going to be X player. It's definitely going to be Y player. Let me know down in the comment section below. Who do you think is going to be the finest card this year for your favorite team in MLB The Show 20? As always, though, if you enjoyed this video, definitely be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Appreciate all the support over the last couple weeks with MLB The Show. Kind of tailing off a little bit. Madden and 2K coming out. Y'all still being here supporting means the absolute world to me. Another month or so, work's going to slow down. We're kicking that content into gear 10. I don't even care what's going on with the show. We're kicking that bad boy up. Until next time, though, I'll catch y'all around.